You look around, and there's nothing. No voice, no hand, no rescue, just silence, just you. And for the first time you realize, no one is coming. This is the moment most people don't survive. But some awaken here. When comfort ends, when the distractions fade, when the illusion of protection finally breaks, something deeper begins to rise. That's when you meet the truth you've spent your whole life avoiding. You are on your own. And you always have been. The world doesn't owe you peace. People don't owe you loyalty. Life doesn't owe you fairness. The longer you wait for someone to fix you, to understand you, to fight for you, the longer you stay trapped in the waiting room of your own life. Stoicism doesn't begin in comfort. It begins in collapse. It begins when the ground disappears beneath your feet and you're forced to rebuild from wreckage. It begins when your heart breaks and no one notices, when you scream in silence and no one hears, when you fall and realize there's no one there to catch you. That's where the path begins, not in victory, but in the wreckage, in the silence, in the solitude. You don't control what happens around you, but you can master what happens within you. You can learn to be calm in the middle of chaos. You can choose stillness even when the world crumbles. That is your power. That is Stoicism. This video isn't here to comfort you. It's here to hand you the mirror, to show you who you truly are and who you still have the power to become the moment you stop waiting and start facing life as it is. This is where it begins. This is where you begin. From the moment we're born, we're taught to believe someone will come. That if we cry, someone will hold us. That if we fall, someone will lift us. We grow up thinking there will always be a hand, a net, a rescue. And for a while this illusion works. Society, parents, teachers, friends, they offer a layer of protection that feels solid. But one day that layer cracks. And when it does, it doesn't warn you. It just disappears. Someone betrays you. Someone walks away. Something you thought was guaranteed suddenly vanishes. And in that moment, reality cuts through like cold steel. You are on your own. It's not cruelty. It's not punishment. It's the truth. The world is indifferent. People are limited. And most are as lost as you are. Waiting for others to save you is like building a house on quicksand. Sooner or later, it all sinks. The pain that comes after this awakening is sharp. It doesn't whisper. It breaks. But it also exposes. Because only in the absence of support do you realize how much you depended on it. It's in the silence that you finally see the hole you let grow inside yourself. And that's where the journey begins. Not because you're ready, but because there's no other option left. Stoicism doesn't offer you comfort. It offers you a sword. It doesn't promise that life will be easy. It teaches you how to endure the storm. This is the pain of awakening, a break from the childish world of expectations. A forced leap into maturity, a scar that marks a new kind of strength. One that is harsh, silent, and real. The illusion is gone, and in its place, something stronger is born. The ability to face life, not as you wish it to be, but as it truly is. When the lost support disappears, when the final voice goes silent, you're left with one question echoing in the stillness. Who am I when there's no one left to hold me up? This is the breaking point for most, because we were raised to depend on validation, on routine, on certainty that was never real. We've been taught to look outside ourselves for safety, but none of it is truly yours. And when it all collapses, only one thing remains: yourself. It's in this desolate, empty ground that inner strength is born, not as a flash of inspiration, but as a slow and painful unfolding. First comes denial, then fear, then anger. But if you refuse to escape, if you stay inside the silence without distractions, something begins to shift. You stare into the void and still breathe. And only then do you realize you can move forward even while exhausted. You can keep walking even while bleeding. And for the first time, you feel it. You are not as fragile as they made you believe. Stoic strength isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It's not about domination or noise. It's quiet, solid, invisible. But once it begins to rise inside you, nothing outside can break you the same way again. Because now you know you don't need applause to move forward. You don't need clarity to take the next step. You've stopped waiting. You've started walking. And no one can give you this strength, because it only rises when no one else is there. That's why it's so rare, so sacred, so powerful. It's not created by the world. It's born when the world fails you, and yet you remain standing. Pain doesn't ask permission. It doesn't check your calendar. It just shows up, crashing through the door, tearing, breaking, consuming. And your first instinct is to resist it, to run, to scream. But the more you fight it, the deeper it roots itself into your identity. You start wearing it like armor, naming yourself by your wounds, carrying your past like a badge, and slowly you stop being a person and start becoming the pain itself. Stoicism doesn't tell you to hide from pain. It tells you to face it without flinching, to walk straight into it and say, I see you, but you do not define me. Because only when you fully accept the thing that hurts can you finally take its power away. Acceptance isn't weakness, it's not surrender, it's clarity. It's the moment you stop wasting energy, resisting what already is, and start using that energy to rebuild. This posture doesn't come from softness, it comes from force. The force to stop blaming, to stop building your identity around the worst things that happen to you, to stop repeating the same story that keeps you stuck in a role you never chose. You can feel pain without drowning in it. You can remember without reliving. You can carry your wounds without letting them carry you. Pain is part of life, but it doesn't have to be the shape of your life. The more you understand this, the freer you become. Not because the pain disappears, but because you learn to walk through it whole and unbroken. When the world falls apart, most people collapse, unless they've built something deeper, something invisible. That's discipline. Not the kind that seeks praise or attention. The real kind, the quiet kind, the kind that shows up when there's no reward, when no one is clapping, when no one is watching. It doesn't scream, it doesn't post online, but it builds something no applause ever could. In a structure. And that structure is what keeps you upright when everything around you falls. It's easy to be strong when there's a spotlight, when people notice, when progress is rewarded. But real strength is what happens in the shadows, when motivation is gone and nothing outside of you is pulling you forward, when the world says it doesn't matter, when you wake up tired, hurt, forgotten, and still rise anyway. That is where the Stoic finds his edge, in doing what must be done, without needing the world to notice. True greatness doesn't grow from inspiration, it grows from repetition, from the quiet act of showing up, from restraining your impulses when no one would blame you for giving in, from choosing the right thing when the wrong thing would be easier. Because virtue needs no audience, and character doesn't exist to be seen, it exists to be lived. This silent discipline reshapes you. It rebuilds what pain tried to destroy. It fortifies what loss tried to shake, and it prepares you for the weight of life, not with pride, but with peace. In the end, this is the divide between strength and collapse. Not who avoids pain, but who refuses to use pain as permission to quit. Silent discipline is what no one sees, but it's exactly what holds up everything that one day will be seen. At the end of it all, when the voices go quiet, when the faces disappear, when the support vanishes and no help comes, only one thing remains: you. Just you. From the outside, it looks like failure, like abandonment, like the world gave up on you, but deep inside, it's liberation. Because when everything falls away, you finally see what's real, and what's real is that you never needed as much as you thought. Your mind is stronger than they told you, your soul runs deeper than you were ever allowed to explore, and your presence, raw, stripped of praise, stripped of approval, is enough. Society taught you to depend, to seek permission, to stay small and compliant. But the Stoic breaks that script. He understands that the strongest human being is the one who can walk alone and remain whole, who can stand in the wreckage and still plant seeds, who can lose everything and still hold on to their values. Clarity, character, courage. You don't need a perfect life to grow. You need depth. You need roots. You need the strength to rebuild without being noticed. Because when the world fails, what remains isn't emptiness. It's the most important thing you have. Your choices, your responses, your posture. And once you take responsibility for that, nothing can shake you. Nothing can strip it away. In the solitude, in the quiet, in the edge of everything, you don't find emptiness. You find yourself. And that's when it begins. Not with someone else's help, not with comfort, but with the decision to carry your life forward, even if no one claps when you do. You haven't reached the end, you've reached the beginning. Because true Stoicism doesn't start when things are calm. It begins when everything breaks. It rises from the silence, from the absence, from the wreckage. When the distractions fade and the illusions collapse, the truth steps forward. And the truth is this: you are all that's left. And that is enough. Not because you are unbreakable, but because you stopped waiting to be saved. You stopped blaming. You stopped hiding. And in that moment, you took your first real step on the path. Most people never get there. They spend their entire lives seeking shelter, waiting for someone to fix them, validate them, rescue them. But you've seen through it. You've realized that the strength you were looking for out there was buried inside you all along. That the world won't adjust itself for you, but you can adjust your stance toward it. And that's where the real freedom begins. That's where the power is. Now the choice is yours. You can walk away from this video and go back to what's familiar. You can numb yourself again, wait again, drift again, or you can mark this moment, right here, right now, as the turning point. The day the waiting ended, the day the silence became your foundation, the day you stopped running and started building. If this message spoke to something inside you, don't ignore it. Come back to it when you forget who you are. Share it with someone who's silently falling apart. And above all, subscribe to this channel and like this video. That's how we make sure this message reaches those still searching for something real. Begin now, quietly, without waiting, without asking. Begin, because the hard path is the only one that leads to who you were meant to become.